The day of the wedding, a high-definition video suddenly played on the big screen. In the video, my wife is wearing a wedding dress. She is very close to her male secretary. The guests in the audience started taking pictures with their phones. I stood on the stage. I felt like a clown being laughed at. My parents saw this scene. They were so angry they almost fainted. I quickly ran backstage. I found that they had already finished. They were blushing, leaning against each other. Emily said nothing. She just threw the termination notice in my face. "Who let you in? Jason is back. You should leave too." She dragged her male secretary Jason out. I held onto her arm tightly. I appeared particularly humble. She shook off my hand. She said impatiently, "Give me some face. All our relatives and friends are outside. Don't go out at this time." Then she slapped me across the face. She laughed coldly. "You can't really think I'm going to marry you, right? Everyone knows you're just my sidekick. This wedding is just a way for Jason and me to have some fun. How could you actually believe it?" Emily left with Jason in front of everyone. It made me feel incredibly embarrassed. I was laughed at by everyone. I called the phone number of her rival company. "I agree to join your company and participate in the merger to help you acquire the Williams Group. Son, Emily is in bed with another man. My mom saw the video of my wife's misconduct at the wedding banquet. She was so angry that she had a heart attack on the spot. I couldn't care less about my own embarrassment. I quickly called an ambulance to take her to the hospital. The wedding scene was in complete chaos. The big screen was actually live streaming their intimate moments. Relatives and friends present took out their phones to take pictures. Everyone was laughing at me. I was the only one wearing a suit, standing on the stage like a fool, watching the bride Emily disappear. At this moment, she is with another man, completely disregarding the feelings of me, the groom. The wedding I prepared with great anticipation instantly turned into a venue for their thrill-seeking. The wedding dress on Emily deeply stabbed at my heart. The pain was so intense I could barely breathe. That dress was custom-made just for her. It took me a whole month to design. Now, she finally wore the wedding dress of my dreams, but it was to betray me. I begged her, "Don't go, for the sake of our 3 years together. I beg you." I hurried to the backstage room and grabbed Emily, who was about to leave. "Outside are all relatives and friends. If you go out now, I will truly have no face to meet anyone." I exerted all my strength. My fingers turned white. My voice was trembling uncontrollably. "If they go out now, it would be like telling everyone that Emily and I getting married is a huge joke. She specifically made it public on the wedding day, so that everyone knows I was betrayed." I desperately tried to hold on. I almost begged Emily not to go out, but unexpectedly, Emily slapped me hard across the face. It struck my face heavily. My face suddenly felt a sharp burning pain. Half of my face quickly swelled up. She ruthlessly trampled on my dignity. Emily let out a cold laugh. Her eyes were filled with disdain. "Dignity? You, who only relies on others. How dare you talk to me about dignity in these 3 years? If I hadn't helped you get a job at the company, you would probably be starving by now. You just happen to look a bit like Jason. Don't really think you're my boyfriend." Hearing these words, I looked at her and Jason in shock. It was then I realized I was just his substitute. Her words were like sharp knives. Each one stabbed into my heart. The pain made it hard for me to breathe. Each stab hit precisely at my weakest point. She completely disregarded the bond we had over the years. She said it straightforwardly. "To be honest with you, today's wedding is just a tool for me and Jason to have fun. I never intended to marry you. Now that Jason is back, I've had enough fun too. You should leave." Emily threw the termination notice in my face. Then she walked away with Jason. Brazenly, I suffered humiliation. I was mocked by everyone. The wedding I painstakingly prepared turned out to be empty. The company called. They told me that although my mom was resuscitated, she would only be able to lie in bed and recuperate from now on. I felt bitter all over. My heart felt sour and swollen, uncomfortable. A tear slipped down from the corner of my eye. I looked at my phone. It was a message from Johnson, a competitor of Emily's company. I dialed his number. "I agree to join you, and I am also willing to form a partnership to help you acquire the Williams Group. 3 years ago, I met Emily at a campus recruitment fair. We almost fell in love at first sight soon after. We established our relationship, but 3 years later, I never expected that I was merely a substitute. She just used me to fill the void left by her first love, Jason, studying abroad. Even less did I expect that she never truly loved me. At that time, I became the target of many companies due to my core technology. Among them, the company where Emily worked. As a competitor, they reached out to me multiple times. They were even willing to offer me $1 million salary to join their company, but I still declined because I wanted to help Emily save her company from bankruptcy on the way to report to her company. I got caught in the rain. As a result, I caught a severe cold and fever. She put aside all her work and took care of me wholeheartedly until I recovered. After I got better, she quietly left without saying a word, but she still often thought of me at the company. I helped her save the company with core technology. Because of this, she brought the company back to life. Her fame grew larger. She became a legend in the industry, reported by many media outlets. But no one mentioned me, because I didn't want to put pressure on her. So I never told her everything I quietly contributed over the years. I did my best to love her and worked hard to fulfill each of her wishes. Emily has a sensitive stomach. She can't get used to the boxed meals provided by the company, so I specially cooked for her. She particularly loves watching fireworks displays. Every year on important days, I will arrange the fireworks show in advance. I proposed to her with a drone. I even displayed her name on the screen in Times Square. I gave her my most passionate love. For the past 3 years, our relationship has been very good. We have never had a quarrel, and we have never mentioned breaking up. 1 week ago, Jason came to work at the company. Emily suddenly told me she wanted to marry me. I was overjoyed. I immediately threw myself into preparing for the wedding. I even took out the wedding dress I designed over 3 months. I originally wanted to give her a perfect wedding, but I didn't expect all of this to turn into a joke. At that moment, I knew Jason and Emily knew each other before. They must have been familiar with each other long ago. But considering Jason's education and professional background, along with the factors involving other employees in the company, I still refused. Emily began to be cold towards me. Not only did she ignore me at home, but she also often didn't come home. She even blocked all my contact methods. Let me contact her. I didn't expect that. Emily actually embarrassed me like that at the wedding. The person I loved for 3 years. It seems she has forgotten who helped her achieve what she has today. I didn't expect it. Our relationship fell apart so quickly. After helping my mother with her hospitalization and settling her in, I went to a bar alone to drown my sorrows. I came across Emily's moments on social media. In the photo, she was taking selfies at the bar with someone else. There were kiss marks on her collar. She was still wearing a couple's ring on her hand. These details were particularly noticeable. I felt like a joke all along, like a clown. She is covered in his marks everywhere. Have you really thought this through? Our 3-year relationship just ended like this. When I asked this question at the wedding, my voice trembled. My tears were almost overflowing. However, Emily didn't even look at me once. All I received in response was indifference and impatience. However, in the end, I still couldn't compare to her Jason. This deeply hurt my heart. I felt disheartened since I couldn't move her. I decided to stop entangling myself further. The next day, I went to the company to process my resignation, but I ran into Jason with a group of colleagues. "Oh, isn't that the one who's always around Emily? How dare you still come to the company? Didn't Emily already let you go? Can't you find a job? Have you come back to make a living?" As soon as those words were said, the surrounding juniors and colleagues burst into laughter. The embarrassing incident from my wedding yesterday. Not only did everyone in the company know about it, it even trended that night. Now, everyone knows my wedding became a joke. I'm not someone to be bullied either. I grabbed the one who was leading the trouble, and I threw a punch at him. He was beaten until his face was covered in bruises. Jason saw this situation. He immediately called for other subordinates to help, but they were all defeated by me. Seeing how powerful I was, Jason quickly called for Emily. When she saw this scene, without saying a word, she slapped me directly. She said, "Apologize. I want you to apologize. Did you not hear me? How could you hit someone? She hit me hard in front of everyone. This was completely trampling on my dignity. I coldly said a few words. With a cold gaze, I looked at Emily. What did you say? Let me apologize to him. But clearly, a hint of fierceness flashed in Emily's eyes. In a low voice, she said, quickly apologize to them. These are all Jason's subordinates. How dare you hit them? Are you looking for death? Who do you think you are? Nothing comes of wanting, just an ordinary person. While they are still not seriously hurt, hurry up and apologize. Emily's words are like fire. They make my heart a tangled mess. Jason is adding fuel to the fire. It's always Emily. Alex hit someone in public. The clients are all furious. I said a few words to him. Not only did he not listen, he actually hit the person who was with me. As soon as Emily heard about the clients, she immediately kicked my knee, grabbed my collar and pushed me down. Hurry, quickly kneel down and apologize. If the clients really get angry, just see if I won't be rude to you. I'm feeling extremely upset. What little self-esteem I had left was completely trampled by her. I endured the humiliation. I really knelt down to apologize to Jason. People around me were laughing at me. Emily sighed. She told me to hurry and leave. Repeated harm. It made me feel nothing for her anymore. Leave immediately. My company doesn't need people who reap without sowing. You have enjoyed free benefits in the company all these years. You should be grateful to me, letting you take Jason's position. It's out of respect for you. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't even know where you are right now. Emily still thinks I would do anything for her like before, willingly doing anything for her over the years. I have silently endured countless cold stares and accusations in the company. I have endured it all silently myself. She actually doesn't have real abilities. It's all thanks to my careful and thoughtful help. I will be leaving. Once I complete the resignation procedures, I will leave immediately, but don't regret it later, even if you regret it now, crying and begging me. I absolutely will not look back. Only I know. Emily's current achievements in the company rely entirely on me. It all started with my core technology securing a $1 trillion order. Back to the investment. I know I can't stay in this company any longer. Emily was very surprised. She didn't expect me to argue back, furious beyond measure. I gave up my long-held dreams for her. I chose to help her. But now everything is over. It's time for me to leave. When I was leaving the company, my phone suddenly received a text message. It showed that all the money in my account was frozen. Immediately after that, I received several debt messages, stating that I owed a large sum of money. I was puzzled. Then Jason came charging at me with a few strong men. Jason kicked me down. Then he grabbed my neck and slapped me hard a few times. Emily also started hitting me. She hit me until my mouth bled. I felt dizzy and my vision blurred. Just when I was about to collapse, I saw the smile on Jason's face. They used some special methods. He shifted Jason's debt onto me. This idea must have come from Jason. He wants to monopolize Emily's assets. He wants to trap me in a desperate situation. He wants me to bear his debt. I'll never be able to turn my life around. She also called a few strong men to help break my hand, so I couldn't work anymore. She gripped my hand tightly, forcing me to sign. I struggled desperately, but ended up getting beaten even worse. She stepped on my palm, applying pressure hard, until my skin was torn and bleeding. I collapsed alone in a pool of blood. I fainted. In that moment, I finally saw Emily's true colors, cold and heartless. She has no feelings for me at all. She even wants to harm me for Jason's sake, to turn me into a cripple. My heart felt like it was being sliced by a knife. I suddenly realized that all the feelings I invested over the years were in vain. Someone in the company couldn't stand it anymore. He secretly called an ambulance for me. I was quickly taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. The doctor worked very hard. Finally, he saved me. Then I was sent to a hospital room to rest. When I woke up, I immediately changed the technical password used by the company. I told Mr. Johnson everything that had happened. He was very angry after hearing this. He swore to hold Emily accountable. He originally planned to bring his daughter to the company to see me, but he didn't have time to wait for my reply. Jason secretly entered my hospital room. He quickly took off my oxygen mask. Then, he took out a syringe from behind. Without saying a word, he injected the drug into the Roman 4 line. I recognized that it was an overdose of sedative. It would be fatal within an hour after injection. I widened my eyes in shock. I didn't expect him and Emily to be so ruthless. They want to kill me. He took advantage of my helplessness. My body was weak. You're gripping my neck tightly. You just wait. Let's see if Emily comes in to save you. I approached her on purpose. It was just to harm your whole family. Who told her to like me so much? I realized his intentions towards Emily were not pure. The liquid slowly flows into my veins. My vision gradually becomes blurry. I struggle fiercely. I press the nurse's bell. I hope someone can come in to save me. When Jason saw me resisting, he punched me hard. I suddenly felt dizzy. The nurse hasn't arrived yet. Emily rushed over in a hurry. She immediately pulled Jason away. She didn't ask why. She just glared at me angrily. She said, "Alex, you've gone too far. Jason has never been in good health. How could you deceive him into your ward? I really didn't expect you to be this excessive. I really shouldn't have let you go back then. How could you have survived until now?" Emily was extremely angry. She grabbed me tightly. She slapped me hard several times. I hadn't had the chance to tell her yet. I'm really about to break down. The pain, both physical and mental, has reached its limit. I'm too weak to move. My face suddenly turned pale. My face feels like it's burning. It feels like being cut by a knife. She turned around to support Jason. She softly comforted him. "Don't be afraid. I'm here to save you. No one can hurt you anymore. Alex, you need to leave right now. I really don't want to see you again." She looked at Jason anxiously. Her eyes were full of heartache, but I couldn't say a word. I couldn't even make a sound to call for help. The poison quickly spread into my bloodstream. My whole body was in severe pain. Suddenly, I spat out a mouthful of blood. The sheets are all stained red. Blood is continuously flowing from the corner of my mouth. I reached out my hand, trying to grab Emily. "Emily, help me. Please help me." I begged her to save me for the sake of our many years together, but she mercilessly kicked me away. She said, "Alex, stop acting. I would rather die than save you. You love acting so much. Then act to your heart's content. If nothing happens, don't come looking for me." She carefully tended to Jason, but she wouldn't let anyone save me, watching me walk towards death helplessly. My tears blurred my vision. My heart feels like it's being cut. The pain is unbearable. I no longer love her. I will never love this woman again in this lifetime. Suddenly, Emily's secretary rushed into the hospital room. "Emily is in trouble. Something big has happened. The clients are all terminating their contracts." Emily was taken aback. Her eyes widened. "What happened? Say that again. How could this happen?" I heard the system provided by the company had issues. It caused the clients to lose millions in orders. However, the clients were all snatched away by Johnson Group. Everyone is demanding to terminate their contracts. I changed the password for the company's technical system. The goal was to force Emily's company to go bankrupt. Emily was holding Jason. She stood there in a daze. Her heart was filled with shock. She shouted loudly, "Where are the people from the technical department? Where did they go? Why aren't they hurrying to solve the problem? Johnson always brings his daughter Sophia." She rushed into the ward just before I lost consciousness. She saved me. Although Johnson spent a fortune, he brought in the best doctors from all over the country to perform surgery on me. My condition is still not good because of an overdose of sedatives. I almost lost my life. The surgery lasted for over 10 hours. Only then was my life barely saved. After that, I was sent to the ICU under constant monitoring, fearing any mishap. During this time, Emily was extremely busy handling the client contract cancellations. This company was left to her by her father. If the company goes bankrupt, she would definitely collapse. After some investigation, she discovered that I had changed the password for the technical system. As a result, the clients were unable to use it. Consequently, they all requested to terminate their contracts. Meanwhile, the Johnson Group suddenly gained control of the technology. She looked at me in the operating room. Only then did she realize that I was responsible for all of this. Emily broke down and cried. She could no longer hold on. She collapsed to the ground. Her eyes were vacant. How could this happen? It turns out the technology the company had been using was Alex's. Why didn't she tell me? Now he has taken the technology away. The company will collapse soon. Jason gently picked up Emily, who was lying on the ground. He comforted her tenderly. Don't be afraid. I will always be by your side. I can definitely help you save the company. I'm much stronger than Alex. It's okay if those clients are gone. We can find new ones. Don't worry too much. He thought his words could help Emily regain her spirits, but he didn't know her eyes were already filled with hatred. She pushed Jason away and shouted loudly, "It's easy for you to say. You know how hard it was for the company to get to where it is today. Have you ever bled from your stomach due to drinking for socializing? Do you know, I nearly fainted from staying up all night to get orders." She cried with red eyes, sharing the hardships she had experienced over the years. It seemed like she could collapse at any moment. You wouldn't understand. Williams Group was left to me by my father. I absolutely cannot let Williams Group go bankrupt. You have no idea how many difficulties I've faced. I didn't expect that all of this was Alex's technology. Without him, our company would be finished. What are you? After the surgery, I gradually came to. I heard two people arguing outside the door. It turns out Emily finally understood the truth. She realized what I had done for her in the past. She said to another person, "You shouldn't have hired someone to beat him up. You almost got him killed. Let him hold a grudge forever. This is all your fault. Why didn't you leave him a way out? It was you who ruined the company. Unfortunately, it's too late. Post-event sentiment is worthless. A broken mirror can never be restored. My heart for her has long since grown cold. There are no more feelings. Jason no longer hides it. It's come to this. You still want to blame me. Weren't you the one who also took action when they hit Alex? Now that the company has collapsed, you're putting all the blame on me." The two of them blamed each other. They got into a tangled fight. The love they once had is long gone. He approached Emily at first for the company's money. I had warned Emily before. She didn't take it to heart. She always feels Jason is better than me. Now, even if Emily regrets it, it won't matter if she begs me on her knees. It's useless. Johnson always brought me to the ward with Sophia. Emily immediately followed in after seeing. She didn't say a word. She just knelt by my bedside. She cried very sadly, "Alex, did you change the company's technical system password, which led to the client canceling the contract? I was wrong. I really was wrong. I shouldn't have left you, and I shouldn't have done that at the wedding. Can you forgive me? You wouldn't want the company to go bankrupt either." "Right," she cried and made a scene. I frowned as soon as I woke up. I felt a headache. Sophia pushed her, trying to kick her out. "Brother Alex doesn't want to see you at all. You should leave quickly." Emily looked up at the two people beside her. She recognized that Johnson was always competing to be the chairman of the company. She immediately understood that I had already collaborated with them, completely left her behind. "I'm not leaving. Why should I leave? I'm Alex's wife." Her words made me feel very uncomfortable. I immediately had President Johnson arrange for my transfer to another hospital. When I woke up, I was already in the ICU. I could hear their argument clearly from outside. President Johnson saw that I was awake. He immediately came in to check on my condition. He insisted on transferring me. "Take me away." He didn't want me to stay in this place any longer. He wanted to send me to a better hospital as soon as possible. I turned around, ready to leave with President Johnson. Emily chased after me, completely ignoring Jason, who was crying sadly behind her. Just left her behind like that. He handed me the diamond ring worth over 100,000. That was once the symbol of marriage I desired the most. I used to really want to marry Emily, to build a family together. But now I don't care at all. It turns out the ring Jason had was not a couple's ring, but a wedding ring. I smiled again, relieved that I made the right choice. "Alex, I apologize to you. It was my mistake before. I was deceived by Jason. I shouldn't have hit you, and I definitely shouldn't have put you in danger. But I really love you. You have always been in my heart. Can you not leave? I will change. We can get along like we used to. Okay, come back." What I once dreamed of the most now can be easily obtained, but I feel nothing inside. I threw that ring into the drain. When Emily saw it, her expression changed instantly. Emily, our relationship is like this ring that has fallen into the sewer. It can never be retrieved. If the company isn't using my core technology, will you still love me? You can't do that, because I have seen through your true nature. We can never go back to the past. What we had is completely over, even if something happens to you. I won't look back. I was taken onto the car. My mind was blank. The sky started to drizzle. The rain soaked Emily completely. Even so, she still ran after the car. But I never looked back at her. For the past 3 years, I misjudged people. In the days to come, I cannot make the same mistake again. I was transferred to the hospital run by Mr. Johnson. Emily cannot come in. I slept particularly soundly. I didn't dream all night. Early the next morning, I followed Mr. Johnson to understand the company's situation. I started to take over the project. Suddenly, I heard Emily's voice outside the office. Johnson glanced coldly at the door. He told the secretary to go out and drive her away. Alex, let me in. This is the last time I'll see you. I have something to say. I'm begging you, for the sake of our 3-year relationship, just meet with me. Emily was shouting loudly outside the door. She insisted on coming in to see me. Johnson wanted her to leave. How dare you come back? Haven't you harmed Alex enough? If it weren't for you, he would already be the general manager of the company. His family and career would be complete, instead of almost losing his life in your company. You wasted 3 years of my life. Emily knelt in front of Johnson. She didn't care about her dignity. She pleaded through the crack of the door. Alex, let me in, please. I have something to tell you. I understand you don't like me, and you don't want to see me again. But after all, we spent 3 years together. Even if I beg you, let me see you one last time. Is that okay? I don't want him to cause too much trouble in the company. Let her come in and speak her mind. Let her in. Johnson is adamant about not letting Emily see me again. He's worried I'll soften and forgive her. But I reassured her. My heart has long been cold. I will never look back. Speak quickly. I have a flight for a business trip early tomorrow morning to handle affairs in various places. As soon as Emily walked in, she collapsed to her knees in front of me. Her tears flowed uncontrollably. She cried out, Alex, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I was wrong in the past. I didn't cherish you properly, and I didn't notice the things you did for me. As a result, you suffered so much harm. She said this while slapping her own face. I did something to hurt you. That made you sad. I know I've made a terrible mistake, but for the sake of the 3 years we've been together, can you give me one more chance? Let's be good together. I promise I won't make you cry again. I will definitely take good care of you. I interrupted her. That's enough. Stop saying these useless things. It's already over between us. I made it very clear last night. Didn't you understand? As for the company, even though I really don't want to, but this is the consequence you brought upon yourself. You need to take responsibility for your actions. This is all what you deserve. After Emily was exposed, she was momentarily at a loss. She took a new ring out of her pocket. She said to Alex, Alex, I know you've always wanted to marry me. Look, I bought you a new ring. It's bigger and more beautiful than the last one. You're definitely going to like it. I'm truly sincere in wanting to correct my mistakes, to start over. Let's live our lives well together. I was once moved too. But all of this came too late. Late love is hardly worth mentioning. My heart has already been completely hurt. No matter what, I will not look back again. I sneered a little. I don't believe a word he says. I nearly lost my life at your company. I was injected with a lethal substance, but you just watched me die. If it weren't for someone saving me, I might not be here anymore. You actually only helped her, but you don't care at all. You caused me to be like this for her. Do you think we can start over? Don't dream about it. If you really feel sorry for me, then just get away quickly. Never show up in front of me again. Emily looks full of regret, continuing to apologize. She has no intention of leaving at all. Alex, I spoke wrongly just now. The person I should really thank is you. It's because of you I wouldn't have achieved what I have today. I was immature in the past. I didn't consider your feelings. I said tiredly, you can go now. I don't want to see you again. Emily stood there in shock. She didn't expect me to be so hard to persuade. This time, she really gave up completely. Alex, You really don't want me anymore. Don't you care about our 3 years together? Have you really made up your mind? Are you really going to leave me? You make me very sad. I told Johnson to always ask Emily to leave. I don't want to see her again. Emily asked. What do you really want? I've already apologized. What more do you want? The secretary pulled him out, but he still refused to give up. He insisted on staying outside the company. Johnson kept watching his back as he left. He said angrily, HMPH, he has no intention of changing at all. We've come to this point. If it weren't for the position of the dean, she wouldn't even apologize to you. I also feel the same. If it weren't for the effort of the last 3 years going to waste, he might not have realized it yet. The company is facing a cash flow crisis. We can't afford to pay the final installment for the equipment. Now the company is at risk of being sealed off. The higher-ups are very angry. They sent people down for a strict investigation. At that moment, Jason was still holding on tightly. He kept pestering me. I had just walked out of the company and happened to run into him. He looked emotionally unstable. Johnson kept urging me to get in the car quickly, but it was already too late. In the blink of an eye, Jason suddenly pulled out a dagger and charged at me. Alex, you are so despicable. Why are you so heartless to cancel the sponsorship? The dagger grazed my arm. Jason was kicked away by Johnson. The dagger also flew out. Do you know how much Emily has done for the company? How could you leave so easily? She is trying to make up for her mistakes, drinking to the point of stomach bleeding. Now still unconscious in the company, Jason angrily accused me. This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, the company wouldn't be facing closure. He is completely unaware of his mistakes. He continues to question me. Why did you inject me with that lethal drug? You nearly killed me. The only one truly at fault is you. If it weren't for you doing these things, I might have still forgiven him. Jason slumped to the ground, crying out of control. I originally wanted to keep the company running. After all, it has been my hard work for 3 years. But you completely destroyed everything. His tears blurred his vision. He seemed disoriented. His overall condition is very poor. The police arrived at the scene. They took Jason away and detained her for intentional injury at the police station. She desperately begged Emily to bail her out, but he pretended not to see. All the hurtful things she did to me in the past suddenly flashed before my eyes. I really can't forgive her anymore. I couldn't help but ask her, Emily, why did you treat me like this? You really like that guy Jason so much. She replied, I admit I lied to you, but I truly loved you. How could you be so heartless? I never thought you were that kind of person. You know how deeply you hurt me. Emily looked at her coldly through the glass. There was no expression on her face in the end. I didn't say a word. I just left the police station. Only Jason was left there, crying heartbrokenly. I insisted on not reconciling. As a result, Jason was recorded in the system. He was also detained for a month. Emily was taken to court for causing the company to fall into a debt crisis. She was sued. She might have to go to jail. Emily was crying with tears streaming down her face. She turned her head and found me standing behind her. She wanted to come over and seek my help, but I was about to pay the bill, clearly unwilling to pay her any attention. She was enraged by the woman's words. She directly reached out and grabbed the woman's hair. Suddenly, a scream erupted in the restaurant. Are you crazy? Let go of me, you lunatic. Emily yanked the woman down to the ground. Holding her hair, she slapped her. All the waitstaff rushed forward to intervene. Jason even kicked her away directly. She fell to the ground. No one was willing to help her. Jason protected the woman and said to Emily, Are you crazy? You shouldn't come looking for me now. You should go to the hospital. The security quickly came over and restrained Emily. The restaurant staff called the police. The police took her to the station for detention. She thought she had committed a public disturbance. She might be locked up for several days. Jason was also arrested. Because they both got physical, it was mutual fighting, so they were both detained. Emily kept wanting to see me while in detention. After multiple requests, she finally got her wish. We looked at each other through the glass. She seemed very excited. Honey, you finally came to see me. This time I really realized my mistake. Can you forgive me? I promise I won't make the same mistake again. I will work hard to correct myself. Jason is really disappointing. I finally understood that I misjudged him. It won't be like this anymore. Emily came to talk to me about this again. No matter how many times I told her we were no longer possible, she still refused to believe it. She always thought I was just being emotional. She pouted and apologized. Wait for me to cool down. I thought we could get back together like before. If it were the old me from college, I might have forgiven her time and again. But everything is different now. Not loving her anymore means not loving her. There's no chance anymore, I told her. I found a new job out of town. I probably won't be coming back. It's completely over between us. Emily was stunned after hearing this. She never thought I would actually leave her, but the reality was right in front of her, because she could clearly see there is no wedding ring on my ring finger anymore. She didn't continue to plead with me like before. Instead, she stood there in shock, as if she couldn't believe the reality before her. It was only later that I understood. Delayed affection is worth less than nothing. By the time you regret it, everything will already be irretrievable. After I got out of detention, the day Emily got out, I didn't go to pick her up. She then realized that she had nothing left. Her loved ones were all gone. Even I had left her. Emily felt extremely sad. She immediately went to find Jason. At that time, he was preparing to go abroad. She hurriedly took care of her mother's funeral and rushed to the airport, only to learn that he had been sent to the hospital. She no longer had any feelings for him. Now she was filled with hatred towards Jason. In prison, she called me to meet her. She said she wanted to see what I looked like. I told her I was getting married soon. I didn't have time to visit her in prison. It wasn't very convenient either. Suddenly, there was silence on the other end of the line. Only her sad cries remained. She really regretted it. She even borrowed money at high interest. But the problem still remained unsolved. The hole only got bigger. It couldn't be patched up anymore. The last time I saw Emily was in court a month later. She looks very haggard. Her company's stock has dropped to its lowest point. It's about to go bankrupt. He knew about this news. He was almost on the verge of collapse. He cried very sadly. The company was founded by him. He put in all his efforts, but now it has closed down. What? How could this happen? How could the stock drop so severely? This is the end. It's completely over. At first, it was Jason who taught him to evade taxes. He said it would help him earn more money. At that time, he was quite pleased with himself. He thought he was making more money. He wouldn't listen to my advice at all. I told him that tax evasion could lead to imprisonment. He didn't believe me. He even hit me for the first time. He hit me. My face was swollen. He kicked me out of the house. I could only wander on the streets. Later, he kept apologizing to me. He wants me to forgive him. I thought he realized his mistake, that he would correct it, but I didn't expect he was just hiding it from me. He's still making money through those unethical means. In the end, he tasted the bitter fruit himself. Now, they must bear the consequences of the evil they sowed. His face is filled with resentment. He can no longer show the tenderness he had when he was close to her. Emily lost control of her emotions. She caused a scene in the detention center. She even threatened to deal with Jason. In the end, he was taken to another detention room and received severe criticism. The next morning, the charges against Emily were confirmed. He is still in detention. Before leaving, I went to the police station with evidence and to take one last look at Emily. Emily saw me. She looked very happy. "Husband, you came to see me. Are you here to save me? I knew you cared about me the most. You would never abandon me. You know I can't live without you." I'm standing in front of the cold glass. No expression can be seen on my tired face. I said to her, "Don't worry, I'm not here to save you. I'm here to take you in." Emily said, "I'm here to hand over evidence. The media is also contacted. Just wait to go to prison." Emily was stunned for a moment. The originally happy expression immediately darkened. "What? This was done by you? You reported me. Alex, why would you do this? Do I make you dislike me this much? I only made one mistake. Is it worth hating me this much? Do you even want me to go to prison? Look, this is his true self. It turns out that people really can change. He has changed to the point where I can't recognize him. I realized it immediately. Jason has no feelings for Sophia at all. She has clearly been deceived by Jason, and Jason is likely someone sent by Johnson. He not only wants to sow discord between Emily and me, but also plans to completely ruin the company at a critical moment. She cried with great sorrow. It was hard for her to catch her breath. She held my hand tightly, pleading with me. I remained expressionless. I directly pulled her to the entrance of the banquet hall. Emily, you know, I used to love you sincerely, but back then you completely didn't know how to cherish it. Instead, you repeatedly hurt my dignity and feelings. Now I am ready to get married. I have a new wife. I no longer have feelings for you. Please leave immediately. I won't let the waiter let you in. If you force your way in, I can only call security. I'm being very serious. There's not a hint of joking in this. I smiled wryly. Deep down, I knew I had already let go. I didn't say a word. I just recalled being injected with a lethal drug. I almost lost my life. And at that time, she was having an ambiguous relationship with her male assistant. When did they start? I have no idea. I don't want to know about that either. What I understand is, from now on, this woman has nothing to do with me anymore. I turned around to leave. Emily cried out to stop me. Husband, don't go. I really realize my mistakes now. I don't want to go to jail. Can you help me? Please, I will definitely correct my ways. I will treat you well. We can still be like we were before. I saw the fear in her eyes. That's when I understood. Now she truly regrets it, and she is really scared. But it's already too late. Everything between us can never go back to the way it was. His cries echoed in the detention room. The sound was filled with pain and despair. He begged me to stay. Honey, don't leave, don't go. I don't want to go to jail, save me. I never looked back. After leaving the police station, I went straight to the airport. I went abroad. A week later, Emily was sentenced to 3 years for massive tax evasion. She received a 3-year sentence. Jason was sentenced to 3 years for multiple charges. He and another person both have to serve time in prison. After I went abroad, I recovered quickly according to the doctor's advice. My body also swiftly returned to its previous state. A year later, I married Sophia. Not long after, we had a child. The company grew bigger and bigger. Our family of 3 lived quite well. The past gradually faded away. There hasn't been much contact anymore. This is me now. I just want to make the most of each day.